fantastic.
Got into the clinic because I wanted to get some practical litigation experience. After I'd been there for a little while and I got to know Professor Akram and Professor Diamond, started doing some asylum work, and I really got to like it a lot.
This is where they put the theory into practice. The student from the beginning takes the responsibility of the case. They're the first chair lawyer. We're taking the back seat. Good, so do you have some idea now for when you want to have him in? All the work in the preparation happens behind the scenes, and the client doesn't see that. The client sees a fully prepared student lawyer, knows what they're asking, knows how to counsel. By the time they're meeting with the client, they know most of the law in the area.
You have to worry about where your client is living and whether that's stable and whether your client is eating, because all of these things will impact your representation, whether they're able to continue and effectively work on their case.
Some of them have done full trials, appellate court arguments, Board of Immigration Appeals arguments, the kinds of cases that often in private law firms associates don't get even within the first or second year.
I really didn't have any preconceived notions about asylum seekers before I started doing it, mostly because I didn't really know much about asylum and never really thought about it before. But I certainly learned a lot very quickly.
You're agreeing to let us represent you?
They have protocols that they have to follow with every case. There are standard memos they have to produce, there's interview plans, their counseling plans, so that we're sure before they meet with the client that they have done an exhaustive preparation that they've reviewed with their supervisor, so that by the time we go into that meeting, it's the student who is the lawyer.
The hearing's at 8:30.
I think the first thing I learned was, A, these things really happen, you know. It's not just, you know, Hollywood stories or whatever.
People have gone through incredible efforts to get here to be safe, to escape what their persecution had been.
Maybe the perception is that once they get here and you have asylum that you're good, you know, and you're safe and everything's fine. But I would argue that that perception is not the reality. Things are very tough on them.
The way that immigrants and people seeking asylum are treated can be awful. The detention facilities around the country and the lack of rights of people in those detention facilities is incredible. They don't have the same rights as even criminally incarcerated people have. They have no right to a lawyer. They can be transferred at a drop of a hat. On those transfers, their medical records don't go with them. It makes it almost impossible to maintain a lawyer if you actually have one.
I think there's pretty strong consensus from both the right and the left in this country that the immigration system is broken.
I really can't speak to what needs to be changed about U.S. immigration generally. I really only ever dealt with asylum. But if I were to change one thing about asylum, it would be to somehow make the process go a lot faster.
There are days that you go home miserable because you haven't gotten where you wanted or you didn't get the decision you wanted. And sometimes you just have to say, I'm doing all the work that I can and I need to go live my life and go home to my family. And I think for me, feeling like I was doing everything that I could was helpful at letting it go because I was doing everything that I could.
The victories come in small pieces, you know? It's never like a sweeping victory with, you know, it's never like a jury verdict that comes back, you know, in your favor and it's everything that you wanted. That's never the case. It's always just one small part at a time.